Hello, and welcome to the tax workshop hosted by the Comet Sense Money Management Center. My name is Sandra, and I'm one of the peer advisors with the Comet Sense office. In this tax workshop, I'll be covering what are taxes and how do they work, what does it mean when a portion of your income has been taxed, which forms are important and necessary when filing your taxes, and at the end, I'll go over an example of what a correctly filed tax form looks like. So let's get started. So the first question that everyone has is what are taxes and how do they work? So taxes, in essence, every year a portion of your income is taxed or taken to fund the government. There are state taxes and local taxes that go to fund both state and local portions of government. By January 31st of every year, your employer, or of every year that you've been working, your employer should have sent you your W 2 forms. W 2 forms list how much you made and how much you were already taxed. So, how much of your income was already taken automatically. Filing your taxes calculates the official amount that you either still owe in taxes or the amount that you are owed. So, what that last part means is if you paid more than you owe in taxes or that you were needed to pay to fund the government, you're going to get a tax refund. There are thresholds that regulate whether or not you need to file taxes, and we'll cover those in a few slides. And the amount that you pay in taxes can change based on deductions and tax credits. And these are two important terms that can get confusing, but are really simple. So a deduction lowers the amount of your income that is taxable, while credits lower the actual dollar amount that you pay. So I'll go back and we'll mention deductions and credits um, quite a few times. So just some quick questions right off the bat. Do I need to file taxes? So if you made below a certain income, you are not required to file taxes. However, it still may be beneficial for you to do so because of the tax returns that we talked about earlier. If part of your income was withheld from you, you may be eligible for money that to be returned to you through tax returns if you paid more in taxes than you needed to. So this means that you should still file your taxes even if you aren't required because you may be eligible for a tax return and you can get money back. When do you need to file your taxes by? So in a normal tax year, taxes are normally due April 15th. However, this year the deadline has been extended to July 15th due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Number three, how do I file taxes? Like I said, at the end, we'll walk through an example of how to file taxes and we'll go through the different options that you have when filing. But how long do I have to file taxes? Well, you have 3 years to file your taxes. So, for example, if in 2017 you worked, you had until this year to file your taxes for the 2017 work year. However, if you're going to miss the tax deadline, you need to file for an extension. It can be done through online through the IRS. You do need to let the IRS know that you will be missing the deadline. Number six, who is dependent? So, dependent may be a term that you hear, especially as college students, oftentimes or most of the time. Um, your family members or whoever was your primary provider was claiming you as a dependent on your tax forms. And as most students face through college, sometimes that can shift, and sometimes you may still be a dependent in college, and you may not, depending on how you choose to work that out. But a dependent is typically children um, until the age of 19. So typically, children are claimed dependent until the age of 19. However, dependency can be extended until 24 if the child is a student, such as college students. Who has to file? So there's this whole list is very important, but I'll just highlight a few that I feel like may be relevant towards college students. So if you are single and under the age of 65 and you have a job and you make $12,200 or more every year, or in particular that tax year for that job, you are required to file taxes. However, if you are single under the age of 65 and you make less than $12,200. So, for example, you made $12,100, you are not required to file taxes. However, like I mentioned, you may still be eligible if you made $12,100 or anything less than 12,200 to receive tax returns. So it may probably still be beneficial for you to file for your taxes because you may still receive a return. And a return is money that is given back to you, and you're not. It's not like a loan or anything. Like it's just money that comes back. So that's a plus. If you are married, filing jointly, and both of the spouses are under the age of 65, if both of you guys together make a combined income of 24 $1,400 or more, you are required to file taxes. However, if you make less than that, you are not required, but again, you may be eligible for tax. Any other ones, married, filing jointly, one spouse under the age of 65, the number is $25,700, and single, age 65 or older. Any other ones are definitely very relevant. Qualifying widower under the age of 65, 24,000. So I encourage you to look at this whole list and see which one applies to you. So which forms do I need? That's a good question. So the forms that are very common, especially in the realm of college students, 1098-T is the form that you receive from your university that is claiming tuition expenses. So every year you either get it in the mail or electronically, depending on how you've chosen to indicate that. But it's important for claiming tuition expenses and especially beneficial for education. The 1098-E claims interest on student loans, and again, that's beneficial for education credits. 1040 is the actual tax form that you think about when you think about filing your taxes, and it reports gross income and calculates taxable income, and it determines how much is owed or refunded. The W-2, like I mentioned earlier, is for claiming regular income and withheld taxes. Your employer sends this to you, and you will use your W-2 form to fill out the financial information that you need on your. The W-4 form is for the employers. So the employers use the W-2 form because it indicates what they withheld with federal taxes from paychecks, and that's only for employers. So W-2 is employees, W-4 is employers, and 1099 is if you're self-employed or an independent contractor, and this records you. And like I said earlier, I just want to emphasize for education credits lower the actual dollar amount that you have to pay. So an example of what a 1098-T form looks like. This, like I said, is what you receive from your university. So in the bottom left corner, it will have your name, address, city, etc. In the top right area, we'll have the amounts that you pay or the payments received for tuition and related expenses. And then it will also indicate if you received any scholarships or grants. And then also indicating if you're a half-time student or a graduate. A W-2 form looks like this. It comes from your employer, like I said. And the most important part, of course, this whole form is important, but the thing that I want to draw your attention to is this top right corner where it will indicate your wages, how much you made, and your federal income tax withheld. The wages are in box 1 over here, and your federal income tax withheld are in box 2. And it also indicates Medicare wages and Medicare tax withheld as well. So now the big question, how to actually file taxes? Well, there are 3 ways that you can file taxes. The first way is filing online using third-party websites, such as HR Block, Intuit, or TurboTax. You may have heard of these. These are the more common ones. However, there's a whole list on the IRS website. And just as a caveat, the IRS website has everything that you could possibly need to know about filing taxes and different ways that you can do that, and has frequently asked questions section that can help you in case you have a situation that doesn't necessarily fit the mold of what we talk about today. The IRS website is a great place to go, and I link it and refer to it very frequently in this presentation. So on this blue hyperlink is where you can access the IRS website. However, if the hyperlink doesn't work for you for some reason, you can also just type in irs.gov into Google and it'll take you to that website. So now back to the three ways. So filing online, you can use third-party websites, like I said, HR Block, Intuit, or TurboTax. If your income is $69,000 or below, IRS has a list of free tax softwares that you can use. Ones that I listed require you to pay a fee because they are third party. And this option will take you step by step. So these free websites and some of the other websites have restrictions based off of age, income, state of residence, and so on and so forth. So I highly encourage you to check out the list, see which softwares apply to you based off your income and these other parameters in order to make the best informed decision as to which third party website you want to use. The second way that you can file your taxes is in person. So for students or lower income families, there is VITA, a free federal program to help you file your taxes. And you can call this number that I have on the screen, or you can click the hyperlink to find more information. And you can also pay a professional tax service like Liberty Tax in order to file your taxes. Also, if your family members or guardians or anyone you know files taxes in person, you may, I encourage you to ask who they use to file in person because they may be able to give you insights as to what they found helpful and which tax services they found in their local area that they felt were friendly to new users filing taxes for the first time. So that's always person to person recommendations are always a good way to go. Thirdly, you can file taxes manually. And what this means and how this is different from the online option is that when you're filing taxes manually with the 1040 form found on the IRS website, it's literally just the 1040 form on the IRS website, and you have to plug in the numbers by yourself. And you don't have anyone guiding you, or you don't have a third party provider guiding you like this. This third option, filing manually, so literally just taking the form and putting in the numbers, only use this option if you know how to do it, and it is not recommended for beginners. That's just because as a beginner, you may make a mistake on accident, and that may cause you to be audited or checked on. And we don't want that to happen to you guys. So we definitely recommend doing one of the first two options if this is your first time or your first few times filing taxes, especially as a student or someone who's about to graduate. This option is free for those who make more than $69,000, and more information can be found in the IRS. Again, it is not recommended. The IRS also has a website listing and explaining all of these options, and they have a frequently asked questions section where you can most likely find the answer to the question, and if not, you can definitely give them a call and get specific questions. So now on to our tax activity. So for our tax activity, we will be filling out the taxes for Mr. Stephen Williams, and this is the basic info of what's going to be on his taxes. So his name is Stephen Williams, and the number in parentheses is a fake social security number, and right underneath it is his address. He has a wife, Martha Williams, and again, that's her social security number, a son, and a niece. Now, the reason the son and the niece are both on here is because he claims both of them as. So dependence does not have to be direct um, relative or like nuclear family per se, but just anyone that someone is providing more than half of their financial support from. So that's why his niece is there as well as his son. So this is what a correctly filled out 1040 form would look like. As you can see at the very top is his filing status. So he's married, filing jointly with his wife. And if you recall, at the very beginning of the presentation, the parameters that make it necessary to file taxes for a married couple filing jointly is $24,400. So he's filing because he makes more than that. His name, his last name, his wife's name, last name, including initial. Um, they don't have any spouse deductions because none of these things apply to them. Their home address, city that they live in, the dependents, like I said, both his son and his niece. Um, and there's different credits. So there's a child tax credit because the son is his direct nuclear son, and there's a credit for every dependent, and that includes his niece. The example of the W-2 form that he has from his work, from his employer, looks like this. And as I said, $24,400 was the threshold that meant that he definitely needed to file taxes, and he makes more than that. He makes $48,500, so he's required to file taxes. So the things in bolded are the things that I wanted you to definitely look at. So his social security number is over here. When you receive your W-2 form, make sure that your social security number is correct and that it matches the social security number that you actually have and that you have on file and that there's no mistakes. And again, when you're using a third party source or filing taxes in person or um, online through like HR Block, etc., make sure that everything matches. So your name is your legal name, not just a nickname or a name that you go by, that your address is correct, like the numbers are correct, city is correct, zip code is correct, everything, and that your wages and everything are all correct. Because it can cause some problems down the line if something, even if it was an accident. So in the top right corner, you have wages, like I said, and you also have federal income tax withheld. So federal income tax withheld in box 2 is the amount that has already been withheld from him. And filing taxes will either return that money if he filed more than he needed to, or we'll just take some taxes out if he needed to, if there's some taxes that he's paying. So this is a continuation of the 1040 form that I showed you 2 slides ago of his 1040 form. So in line 1, you have his wages. And that is pulled straight from the W-2 form. So that's why I said that it's very important that you get your W-2 form on time and that you keep it with you because you need it in order to fill out your 1040 form. And if you use a third party, your third party system, like HR Block or Liberty Tax, will need your W-2 form in order to fill out the 1040 form with you. So wages goes in line 1, total income line 6, which is still wages, and standard deduction or itemized deduction. It indicates what that will be over here. And because he's married filing jointly, it's $24,000. And then line 10 calculates his taxable. So if you have any questions about this presentation, now that we're all done, I guess just a few things that I want to mention. If you have any sort of trouble receiving your forms, because I feel like that's sometimes a bit of tricky if employers or your school or it gets lost, definitely reach out and contact them. If you don't have your 1098T form, for example, to the university, you can always how you can find it. If your employer does not send you your W-2 form by January 31st, definitely contact your employer. Or especially if you switch jobs within the year and you worked at multiple places, make sure that you get the multiple W-2 forms in order to have an accurate and complete picture of all the places that you've worked in the past year, because all of those places need to account for the tax year that you're going to be filing your again. All of this information came straight from the IRS website. So I highly encourage you to look at the IRS website when making these decisions as to how you want to file your taxes and which services that you want to use. And the IRS website is a great place to get those questions answered. If you have any other questions or you felt this presentation was helpful for you and cleared some things up about taxes, I highly encourage you to set up an appointment with us or to continue to use our other resources. So we have a podcast called The Comet Sense, called Change Matters by the Comet Sense Money Management Center. Is found on all of our on all streaming platforms and anywhere you find your podcast. And we have all sorts of material that we will continue to upload, and we already have all sorts of episodes. We have episodes on credit, we have episodes on budgeting, we have an episode on taxes where we share a little bit more about our experiences as college students navigating the world of financial literacy and being financially independent because we think it's important to try and tailor this information for college students. So that's a great resource if you're looking for something a little bit more conversational and something to answer maybe just some more questions or just pick up on some tips that other college students use when navigating this financial world. We also do one on one appointments. We have currently our one on one appointments will continue in the fall, depending on if we are online in the fall, they'll be online through platforms just like WebEx, or if they're in person, we are located in the basement of the library and you can set up appointments online. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at commentsense@utw.edu. We'll be more than happy to get back to you and answer your questions relating to money and finances and financial literacy. As always, thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you are able to take this information and use this advice and pick the pieces of advice that tailor to your situation and become a more financially literate individual and help share that information with you. Thank you so much.